Well, hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Unlocked Show. I'm your host, Tracy Wilson. In today's episode, I want to talk about how the heck do you get good quality guests onto your show, or how do you get to be a guest on other people's podcasts or shows and making sure that they're also high quality. So in today's episode, I'm going to cover all of those things. I'm going to cover some of the tips, the tools, and the resources that I use to be able to find high quality guests, but also get myself booked as a guest speaker on other people's podcasts. There's a couple of tools. There's one in particular that is my favorite, which I'm going to share with you guys. And if you hang around to the end, there's a couple of things that you are going to need to ensure that you're able to get booked by other people on their shows. And it is a speaker's kit. So I'm going to give you guys access to a template that I've created that will enable you to really quickly and easily be able to create your own one sheet or speaker's kit that will enable you to get booked on shows all over the world. Now, let's firstly talk about, shows in general. So whether it's a live show like I'm doing right now, which is uncut, unedited, we just basically push the go live button and off we go, we start talking, or you do a recorded type show. Both of those you're going to find in the live streaming or podcasting world. People will do, one or the other, or sometimes they do both, as I do. So on the odd occasion, I will actually record a show with a guest just so that I've got them up my back pocket, so that if I ever want to go away and I need a little bit of a break from doing the show live, I've got that to be able to stream, so I continue with my with my schedule. Or you might also find that a lot of other people actually do a recorded show. They record it, edit it, and then turn it into either a video type show as you're tuning into today, or you'll see it as a podcast. So as you guys know, this is a live show. So when I go live, I'm actually streaming across multiple different platforms all at the same time: Facebook, YouTube, etc. And after the show, these shows get cut up into multiple little different bits and pieces, usually about 50 different segments out of one show. And you'll also see those running around the social media, for quite some time to come. So a lot of these shows get a lot of airtime and a lot of playtime after the event. But as you know, because this is a live show, it means that you're actually able to communicate with me, just like I can see Gyan Chand has right here. So he's saying, g'day and good morning to you, Gyan, because I know you are out on an island somewhere beautiful right now. So you guys can do exactly the same, just as Gyan has. Make sure that you are, let me know today, where are you tuning in from? Where are you dialing in to watch today's show? Put that in the comments and I'll be able to say hello to you. Alrighty, so let's kick this off, right? So when you're starting out doing your, doing your first live show or your podcast, usually people are a little bit nervous and you want to get started by kind of going solo. Usually all of our students, we teach them how to go solo, because we then get them to a point where they're very, very comfortable. Their confidence level is at increasing. They're comfortable in front of the camera. They're comfortable with it, being able to put together the structure of a live show. And then at some point down the track, they go, do you know what? I would really love to be able to have some guests on my show. And apart from exhausting all of your existing network, which is what most people do, even I did that, started out, who do you go to first? You go to the place that you are most comfortable with. You look around in your existing network and you find people that would be, in sync with what your show is about, their subject matter or their topic, and the way that you create your show, that they are in balance and alignment with you, and you invite them to be a guest on your show. And again, in our programs that we teach, or the programs that I teach people how to actually do that and how to actually create a interview style show. But as you get more and more familiar with how to create your own live show or your podcast, usually people are wanting to expand their reach and expand their network to have other people that may not necessarily be in their existing, sphere of influence, in their sphere of network that they currently have. But then they're at a loss. They then go, okay, well, I want to get some other people on board. I've even seen this person doing a podcast or a live show, or they have a great, angle on what it is that I'm teaching or sharing for that matter, and you would like to have them on your show. But how do you A, reach out to them, and then B, how do you find other guests that might be suitable to be on your show? So like I said, I'm going to share with you a couple of different platforms that I personally prefer. There's one in particular that I absolutely love. We get really great quality guests from this particular platform. And I also have the opportunity to be a guest on other people's platforms. And to top it off, you can also get paid to have guests on your show. So there's, it goes without saying that being a host of a show, there's a fair bit of work involved in that, right? You've got to get everything organized. You've got to have all the technology to create the live show or the podcast in the first place, cameras, microphones, the live streaming platform if you're going to be live streaming, etc. And then you have to set up all of the follow-up and, reaching out, etc. before the person joins your podcast or your show, and then all of the after work that goes with it. Doesn't have to be, overly tiresome and time consuming. No, it doesn't. We actually teach you how to do that in as little as 2 hours a week. But that aside, most people spend a fair bit of time trying to get their guests on board and create everything that they need to be able to broadcast a good quality show. So you're probably hanging on, to the bit right now and going, well, what the heck is this platform that you use? So I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to give you two that I prefer to use. The first one is called Audrey.io. So if you head on over to Audrey.io, you can actually sign up with Audrey. It's free, and you're able to then find and source guests for your show. So that's a fantastic platform. I'm not going to go into great detail about Audrey today because I've got one that is my absolute favorite, and it's this one here. It's called Podmatch. So podmatch.com. So you can head on over there. You can use my code to get yourself signed up. And, podmatch.com/sign-up/Tracy M. Wilson will enable you to get signed up on Podmatch and get yourself going. What Podmatch will allow you to do is it'll allow you to discover other people that are either wanting to be a guest. So they've got some good subject matter. They're experts in their field and they're wanting to be guests on other people's shows, or you can find, shows that you might like to be a guest on. So it kind of works both ways. So you can source guests for your podcast and or show, or you can source podcasts or live shows that you would like to be a guest on. Now, those two things are fantastic for you to be able to do. Now, if you decide that, you're going to create your own platform, you're going to be the host of a show. The good thing about being a host of a show is that it actually enables you to increase your influence and your authority. And you're doing that through sharing your expertise, your knowledge, your tools, your resources, your life skills, etc., your wisdom with other people. If you are going to be a guest on other people's shows, again, you're still able to share all of the things that I mentioned above. But what it also enables you to do is to expand your network. Like I said, being a host, it's going to help you to increase your level of influence and authority. By being a guest, you are going to increase your networks. Increasing your networks is a fantastic way to be able to get your message out to a much wider audience because you're able to tap into that show host's audience. They've already worked hard to build up an audience of people that is watching their show. Simply by you being a guest on their show also gives you exposure to that. And likewise, on the flip side of that, those people that are wanting to be a guest on your show also have access to your audience. And the great thing about creating these types of collaborations where you are either the host and you have guests on your show or vice versa is that you can help one another grow each other's audiences by sharing your knowledge, your information, and obviously the recording and or the live stream of that show at that time. So if you head on over to Podmatch, you'll see that once you get into Podmatch, you're actually able to discover. So depending on which plan you have in Podmatch, you're able to discover a number of different podcasts or shows that would be suitable for you. So the first thing you want to do is you need to create yourself a profile. So in your profile, you want to make sure that you've got a catchy name for your show. So I have Unlocked with Tracy Wilson, and then you want to create a tagline or a description that tells people what your show is about. That's really important from a number of different perspectives. One is from a guest perspective, they want to be able to see at a glance, what is the show about? Do I actually want to be a guest on Tracy Wilson's Unlocked show? Is it going to be worth my while? Do we have some synergies? Is that the right type of audience that I would like to get exposure to? And the information that I have, is it going to be valuable information for her audience? And you want to make sure that you have, a decent amount of description, background, and backstory on you, and then being able to give those who are interested in either being a guest or having you as a guest on their show, making sure that you have links to all of your social media platforms so that they can go and check you out. And I would also say it's worthwhile having your own website that you have your podcast information on. So again, so people can go and they can look at that and they can get the information that they need. Now, there's one document that is really, really useful in you being able to create, get or provide the information to either those that are wanting to be a guest on your show or those that are wanting to, for those that are wanting to be on your show or you're wanting to be on their show. And it's a document called a one sheet. I'm going to pop up onto the screen right now where you can go and get a copy of the speaker's kit that I've created. And it's actually got step-by-step guide in there as to how you create your own speaker's one sheet, your speaker's kit template. And that way you're able to have that, make it readily available for anybody who's interested in being on your show, or more so having you as a guest on their show. So it will cover, the types of questions that they can ask you, the type of subject matter that you cover, bit of information and background on you, and even your profile pictures and those sorts of things. So really, really useful. Now, going back to Podmatch. So when I'm utilizing Podmatch, I can tell you that I've now been able to book myself solid, or my team has been able to book me solid, for at least the next 6 to 8 months. The Unlocked show is booked with guests for that period of time. And that's simply by getting really familiar with how to use the platform Podmatch. They do a fantastic job once you put your description and your details into the platform. They do a fantastic job of actually automatically matching you up with other potential guests or potential podcasts and shows that you could be on. So they do a lot of the heavy lifting for you with their technology of actually matching up people that would be suitable for your show and or for you to be on their shows. And it makes it really easy for you then to be able to scroll through and determine whether or not they're the sort of people you would like to invite to be on your show. They have the entire process from start to finish, which takes you through to the point where that you even leave them a review as a guest and they can leave you a review as the host. So it's a great way for you to be able to find good quality people, but actually go through the entire process so that by the end of it, both of you come out the other side with the opportunity to have built a great relationship through the chat that you have off screen and on screen. And I can tell you that I have built so many relationships with people, have created more business by doing this sort of thing with the guests and the hosts that I am on shows with. Because as we're talking about various different things, each person has a different skill set, and often we're able to either collaborate or be able to do business with one another. So that often is is one of the benefits of doing a show such as this. Once you've gone into Podmatch and you've gone through that whole process from either perspective, you're either a host or as a guest, you can also be paid. So depending on what plan the guest is on inside of Podmatch, there may be a commission or a payment available to you if you book somebody from the Podmatch platform. So I'd encourage you guys to go and check that out. Have a look at Podmatch. It is a great way of being able to book guests. I know that every single day now I'm receiving emails from podcast matches, trying to get people, trying to pitch other people to be on my show. And that is an expensive, that's an expensive outlay to actually have somebody, you hire somebody to actually do that outreach for you. You cut all of that out when you're using a platform such as Podmatch, because you let the algorithm and you let the system do it for you. And the only other thing I would say is, whenever, it doesn't matter whether you're using Podmatch, whether you're using Audrey.io, or even just using another human to actually reach out for you, follow up is the key, because everybody is busy. People forget, right? They get, we all have lives. They forget that they've been booked somewhere. So it's really important that you set up some form of follow-up system that enables the person to remember that they're actually going to be a guest on your show, and then making sure that you get them on a little bit early so that you can do all the testing that you need to ensure that your microphone's working well, your cameras working well, your internet's working well. All those sorts of things you can do minimum of 10 to 15 minutes before your show goes live would be my recommendation. So just make sure that you do that regular follow-up. And then after the fact, making sure that you go back and you let people know when your podcast or your show has actually gone live. In this case, when we're doing a live show, it's live immediately, but the podcast version of these shows are usually a few days later. So I always make sure that I go back and let people know, and also make sure that you give them the links so that they too can promote the show that they have just been on. So there's my couple of little tips for today. The two platforms that are my favorites, Audrey.io and Podmatch. Podmatch is the one that that is my preference, because it's just so easy to use and you get some great quality guests on there. And don't forget, you need to get yourself a one sheet. If you are serious about being booked as a guest on other people's shows, you are going to want to have one of those. You can head on over and get yourself a copy of that. I'm just going to pop that back up on the screen again. So if you just go to tracymwilson.com/speakers-kit-template, you can get yourself a copy of my Speakers Kit template, which will walk you through exactly what it is that you need to do. And there's even a link to be able to get access to a free template so that you can create your own speakers one sheet really simply and easily. All right, guys, I'm going to, we're going to call today's show to an end. I hope that you have found those tips, those tools, and them resources really helpful to help you get started with your own live show or your own podcast, and be able to book some great quality guests, and or get yourself booked as a guest on other people's shows. Like I always say, you need to move forward in life unlocked, because there just is no other way. I'm going to see you guys back for another episode of The Unlocked Show next Wednesday, 10 a.m. Brisbane time. And I'll see you guys again this Friday at 10 a.m. All right, guys, have a fantastic rest of the week, and I'll see you again Friday and again next week. Bye for now.